Yes, they are if you're in the right place, and I'm going to show them to you. Welcome in, friends. The long anticipated record breaking Arctic plunge and snowfall event of 2025 is underway. The snow is coming down for many of us, and it is piling up to some very impressive totals. We're going to take a look at how much snow has fallen and how much more we can expect over the next 24 to 48 hours because some significant snowfall is looking likely for many, and that is still to come. We're going to take a look at the record breaking temperatures that are forecast over the next couple of days as well, and also see what the rest of the week has in store. And we're tracking another storm system that could be on the horizon. So we're going to get into all of that. Plus, the sun is still causing trouble. Another X-class solar flare and subsequent CME are on the way. I'll tell you what that means too. We're going to start here with the current analysis and see what this storm has in store for us over the next couple of days. We're going to start with the water vapor image. All right, as we look at this image, look down here across the southern portion of the country. All these bright oranges and yellows, that is dry air, folks. Ain't nothing falling out from underneath those colors there. The big area that we're paying attention to is this area of spin here moving through the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Winds are out of the north and east on the back side of this, and that's where we're seeing the lake effect snow bands kind of pivot in from the northeast to the southwest in that direction. As this continues to move east, the winds will, and south and then eventually east, winds will swing around out of the north and eventually out of the northwest, and those snow bands will pivot around, but a lot of cold air working across those warm lakes creates unstable air, and you get these big snow bands, and snow is piling up in and around the Chicagoland area, folks. But that is an interesting feature, and yesterday we saw that, and today it is moving farther and farther south. Here is the current radar. Snow falling around Marquette and up here in the UP of Michigan. Not a lot going on in Michigan itself here, but certainly some of these bands are producing. Look over here at Milwaukee, Racine, Waukegan, picking up some good snow this morning, 1 to 2 inches per hour. Seen plenty of snow here around Gary and Chicago. Had that band move through earlier. So a lot of snow on the roads up here, South Bend and down here toward Indianapolis. We're seeing some light snow toward Dayton, close to Cincinnati, Huntington. And then over here around Buffalo and Erie, that snow band, it means business, particularly around here just north of Jamestown. Got some pretty impressive rates coming out of this. And then Ithaca and up toward Utica, looking at a few snow showers. And then as we get into the northeast, we're seeing more warm temperatures up here, so nothing frozen all that much outside of the higher terrain until you get above up into the across the Canadian border here, and then some showers back down through and near Albany, back in toward Bridgeport. New York City seeing some showers this morning, and there's some scattered showers up into parts of Maine. So that's what's going on. If we look down a little bit farther, snow showers breaking out here in Kentucky, all through Paducah, Bowling Green, and back in even toward Nashville, Clarksville, and places like that, folks. We could see some snow showers move through today, and of course the Appalachians are set in the higher terrain here in Virginia mountains, and of course the southern Appalachians, the Smokies, Blue Ridge, set to pick up some good snow as we head on through the next couple of days. Now check this out. Here are the temperatures in terms of highs today, and these circles are where we're going to break or tie all-time record low max temperatures. And up here in and around Cincinnati again, and looking at parts of the Appalachians and down into the deep south, we're looking to break or tie records. The black circles break records, the white circles tie record. These are minimum high temperature records. Okay, so low max temperatures. The lowest maximum temperature ever recorded on this date. That's what this is showing you. So we're going to see highs in the 30s and 40s for much of the eastern portion of the country till you get along the coastline, and then you get into the Piedmont of the southeast and you start to get up into the 50s, but still that's a little bit more normal, but we're well below normal back to the west. If we take a look at, let's go one more day around here and take a look at the highs for tomorrow. Again, we're looking at tying and breaking low record highs tomorrow down here in Florida. Look at all of these 50s and 60s. It's going to be chilly by anybody's standards in Florida for this time of year. And then along the coastal sections of North Carolina could tie some record low maxes as well. And a very chilly air, 40s and back into the 30s and even 20s up into the higher terrain in New England. So it's going to be very chilly, but it'll get out of here quick. Wednesday's going to warm up for much of the southern portion of the country, still in the 40s across much of the north. But if we take a look at lows really getting down below freezing for a large portion of real estate. Freeze warnings are up for much of this area here, folks. We're going to see temperatures get into the 20s. Growing season will rapidly come to an end, and it will not be back again until spring. And certainly 20s and even some teens and single digits up in the higher terrain in the Appalachian Mountains as we get on into tomorrow morning. Things rebound a bit, so we'll see temperatures working up above freezing for many of these areas, save the mountains and parts of the foothills, and until you get up into the Great Lakes and the Northeast, that's when you guys will see that system move through, and the entire front will clear the area and bring you guys on the backside of some of those cooler temperatures at that point. So that's what's going on there. Now the wind will pick up through the day today. It's been a little bit quiet here in parts of the east this morning, but you can see those gusts as we go through the day this afternoon, getting into the 20s for virtually everyone except for the Northeast here in the east portion of the country. And as we go through the evening hours, that'll settle down a little bit, but we'll keep the wind up here in the southeast and parts of the interior Northeast and Great Lakes as that secondary push of cool air associated with that vortex kind of comes through, and things will die down as we get toward the morning hours here in the south, but pick back up again through the afternoon as the mixing takes place, and you can see some gusts into the 30s up here. And some of those snow bands that we've seen coming off the lakes have had winds gusting into the 30s and even 40s at times. So it's felt like blizzard conditions. Seen some lightning strikes with some of these too. The air is very unstable there. Could see a few lightning strikes down here as we get into the Appalachians later on this evening as that push of cool air make it really unstable, and see a lot of upslope snow, and some of that could be fairly intense and pick up some impressive snowfall amounts too. We'll look at those snowfall amounts here in a second. There are those freeze warnings I was telling you about, and if we get on a better map, you kind of see this a little bit better. Freeze warnings all across the southern tier. Winter weather advisories up all where you see this purple, and of course winter storm warnings where we can expect the highest snowfall totals. And we'll take a look at all of that snow coming up in just a minute. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, friends, please hit the subscribe button below. Join the team. It's easy to do, it's free, and it helps the channel grow. So certainly do that if you can. Like the content, leave a comment in the comment section. If anything I can be in prayer about, please put it down there, and let me know where you're commenting from. Always nice to hear what weather you're seeing. It's cloudy, partly cloudy this morning, but the wind is blowing a little bit, and it's chilly here in the foothills of North Carolina. So that's what I'm seeing. Anyway, folks, I've got your weather IQ question coming straight up, and then we're going to look at those snowfall totals and then see what the rest of the week has in store. So I thought, since we're dealing with a lot of lake effect snow so early in the season, it would be a good opportunity to test your IQ around a lake effect snow question. So here it is. What wind direction typically produces the most intense lake effect snowfall for Buffalo, New York? Now you'll need to know where Buffalo, New York is. So, get on Google Maps and check it out if you don't know. But here are the answers set. So pick one of these answers. Northwest, east, west, or southwest. What wind direction produces the most intense snowfall for Buffalo? All right. If you know the answer, type it in the comments. If you want to guess, put it in there. If not, just wait till the end of the show and I'll tell you exactly what the answer is. But right now I'm going to tell you how much snow we can expect over the next 48 hours. This may be a little bit hard to see, but it does a good job of showing you where the snow has fallen and how much snow has fallen. And you can see kind of the lion's share has been up here around the Great Lakes and the parts of the Ohio Valley where we've seen a couple of inches up to a foot of snow. If we actually zoom in here, we can take a look at from Gary, Indiana over to South Bend, Fort Wayne, Defiance. That's where the biggest swath of heavier snow has been. Part of that's snow banding coming off of Lake Michigan. Part of it is just a deformation around the northern side of a little low that's moved through here to help enhance the snowfall rate. So we've seen as much as a foot in some of these areas, and plenty more snow is to come, courtesy of this big mid-level vortex that we have been tracking for a long time. As we go through the afternoon today, it's swinging through Kentucky. You can see the bright colors here and the circle associated with that. This is spin in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It will lift whatever's there, and there's moisture. It will wring that moisture out and provide plenty of lift and plenty of snow here along the southern Appalachians. It will swing into North Carolina as we work through the early evening hours into Virginia, and then swing through, exiting the coast as we head toward tomorrow morning, and the whole entire trough kind of moves to the east of the U.S. as we go on in toward Tuesday evening. A little secondary system probably bringing some clouds through, but no real precipitation with that, at least this far south, and the winds turn out of the west, kind of dry out. If we take a look here at the radar forecast over the next several hours, Plenty of snow falling here under this band that's pivoting around in Chicago. But as the winds swing out of the north, Chicago, you'll be back in there. It'll move back in toward Indiana, Gary, South Bend, and then other areas here as that vortex kind of swings through this evening, bring some light snow to Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, down in here to Paducah, Lexington, places in the Nashville area, and maybe eventually Chattanooga over to the Tri-Cities, and then back up into New England. You guys seeing some rain up in Maine, but as that colder air comes through, it'll turn to snow, more banding coming off the lakes as we get into the overnight tonight. And check this out. As we work through the overnight hours tonight, a lot of snow here in the Appalachians, that northwesterly flow, rising air squeezing out everything it can with the moisture content that's in the air. So some heavy snow is in store overnight for parts of the apps. And even look at this, into the Piedmont sections of Virginia, North Carolina, looking at snow, maybe getting into the Richmond area, Danville, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Asheboro over to Raleigh, and even back into parts of the coastal plain, maybe around New Bern could see, especially north of 40 here, you could see some light snow or a brief period of a snow shower, a flurry. If you come out and turn those lights on at just the right time overnight, you may catch a couple of flakes. More and more models are showing this, so I'm a little bit more encouraged that we might actually see something like that. Certainly not here in the foothills where I live. There are your snow bands as we go on in, and see more lake effect snow as we go on in through the day on Tuesday, and those will be in motion, so we're not looking at anything setting up, dropping feet of snow, but certainly a few inches are possible where these bands persist. And you can see this move through the day Tuesday into the overnight hours Tuesday as we approach Wednesday morning. More snow breaking out in New York with another system kind of diving through there up into New England. And eventually as we get on into Wednesday evening and things kind of start to dry out a little bit and warm up some too. Taking a look at actual snowfall totals, the bulk of the snow is again going to be around the lakes as the snow bands kind of pivot around. So anywhere between 2 and 6 more inches to go up here around Lake Michigan, and then off of Lake Erie as well. Could see as much as another foot of snow in some of these areas where these snow bands kind of park for a little bit of time. And then down here on Ontario and just off the east of that toward Watertown too. And then of course in West Virginia, look at this. Big time snows falling around Snowshoe. Could see 8 to 12 inches of snow there, and back into the southern Appalachians too. You kind of get a better view here in the New England kind of view, and see up toward upstate Pennsylvania, New York, looking at plenty of snowfall coming in off the lakes here, and that kind of trails off as you head on to the east. So as much as up here in central New York around Albany, you could see 4 or 5 inches coming off of this. Okay, so that's what we're looking at in terms of snow up in New England. And then back down here where I live, not very much. We're not looking at much accumulation. If there would be any accumulation out here outside of the mountains, it would be along the border, but certainly down here in the southern Appalachians could see another 6 inches of snow still to fall, maybe as much as 8 to 10 inches in some spots here along the higher peaks where that northwesterly flow is maximized. So that's what we're looking at, snowfall over the next couple of days. Now we're going to transition, take a look at what's happening and what's upcoming as we work through the rest of our work week, and then wrap up with space weather. All right, there's our big trough in the east as we head on through the day today. Look at that, exiting stage right. We go on through tonight and into tomorrow night, another reinforcing shot of cool up into the northeast. But look what's happening out west. Big ridge going up. That means southerly winds. It means warm temperatures, and that ridge migrates to the east. So much of the center, the nation's midsection over to the southeast, is going to be under the influence of this ridge, meaning dry weather. And after this storm system gets out, outside of a few shots of precipitation in the northeast, it's going to be a relatively tranquil week for the rest of the week in the east. Cooler temperatures than normal under this trough in the northeast as we work through the week, and another storm system begins to come in to the west on Friday, bringing some rain showers to you all in Southern California and the southwest. Meanwhile, more energy coming into the northwest will bring you all clouds and rain up there. And as we head on through the weekend into next week, look at this. We've got a closed low working through Texas and another system working up into the northern plains. The European kind of almost wants to get these together, and then at the last minute keeps them apart. Okay, so There is a scenario where these systems kind of join forces and create a big storm system early next week. A couple of other models keep the northern stream out ahead of the southern stream, which would suppress the southern stream and not create a big storm. But certainly, this storm system working through with warmer temperatures could provide an opportunity for some severe weather. And you can kind of see that play out as we head on into the nighttime hours, Tuesday night into Wednesday. There goes the trough out to sea, and just a few impulses coming in, bringing some unsettled weather to the northeast through the week, keeping you guys cooler and cloudier, rainier and snowier in the higher terrain. And then as we get on in toward Thursday, look at this, a big storm system pushing in northern energy and southern energy. California could be quite wet for a day or two out here toward the middle portion, the end of the week. And then as we get into the weekend there, these systems come across the southern tier and across the northern tier as well. More energy coming into California through the weekend. So that's what we've got. And as we get on out into Sunday and then into Monday, could see a severe weather event unfold if things come together just right. For portions of the south, not so much here up in the northern plains and the Great Lakes is the way it looks right now. Temperatures as we go through the week, very, very cold to start here in the east, warm out west. That trough swings rapidly out to sea, taking the cold air with it, with the exception of the northeast. So as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, still hanging on to some below normal readings here in the south and in the east and in the northeast. But as we look here, we can see that big ridge swinging in, bringing those warm temperatures as we get into the weekend, setting the stage for maybe some thunderstorm activity over the southern tier through the week, and then cooler temperatures behind this as energy is coming in, bringing clouds and rain out west. And that's what we're looking at as we go through the weekend of the weekend, kind of a mixed bag beyond that in terms of temperatures wise. We'll take a look at the longer range again in another video, but that's what we can expect as we go through the week into the next weekend. As this new storm comes into focus, we'll be taking a closer look at it, but there are some scenarios on the table where we could kind of get a big storm out of this, and we'll watch how those pieces of energy come together as we look at future model runs. Now we're going to take a look at space weather and wrap up the video. Yeah, we've got more solar activity taking place. Look at this, another big X-class solar flare and a CME associated with that. So we've had two X-class solar flares the last couple of days thanks to this big sunspot, this bright spot on the sun. Look at the coronagraph here, folks. I'm going to put this into motion. You can see what happened here. Not much going on, just some ejection of plasma from that previous CME. And then watch this right here. Boom, solar flare. You see that kind of halo out? That is a big CME that's coming off fast and furious. Halo CME means it's directed right toward us. And here it comes again. Watch it, boom, spread out in all directions. That means it's coming right at us. That is going to put us in geomagnetic storm conditions on the heels of another CME that's headed our way. So over the next couple of days, we're going to see the KP index shoot up. That means Aurora viewing is going to be likely, and we'll watch and see if any other kind of communications blackouts happen. There's that big gnarly sunspot. It is turning away, thank goodness. There it is. Look at this complexity here. Positive charges, negative charges, all mixed in together, and that creates a environment to see big solar flares potentially coming off, and that's what we're seeing, friends. And that is the show for today. It's been a lot to talk about, but we're going to wrap things up here with the Weather IQ answer. And also, if you noticed earlier in the video, I had a crawler going across the top, talked about one of the most famous Great Lake storms that occurred this day in history. So make sure you catch that. If you didn't see it, go back and watch that. But here's our question. What wind direction typically produces the most intense lake effect snow for Buffalo, New York? And the answer is southwest. Buffalo sits right here. Let's go back and take a look here on the radar, and I'll show you this. Buffalo sits right here off of the tip of Lake Erie, and a lot of times out of the southwest you get these big sustained wind direction. You get the sustained wind out of the southwest direction, would be a better way to say that. It goes across the entirety of the lake and points right at Buffalo, and you can see 3 and 4 feet in a very short period of time, 3 or 4 feet of snow, intense snow, if the situation is set up right. These lakes are very, very warm, and we're going to see more opportunities as we head through the fall and into the winter as Arctic air moves across these lakes for some fairly impressive lake effect snows in the snowbelt region. So keep your eyes on that. In the meantime, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Enjoy the snow. Folks that are getting it, drive carefully, of course. Turn those lights on and slow it down. And in the meantime, I will be back with another video in the morning, but I hope you all have a wonderful start to your work week. And this is Cold Rain, as always, reminding you that the weather runs 24/7, but I got you covered right here, right now on Cold Rain's Weather World 4814. Take care, everybody, and God bless.